And happy Sunday morning. I hope everyone is having a good time. This is Michael Lodge, and I am the business mediator. And normally I come on here and I talk about business and how we process business, and taxation, management, leadership. I cover it all. But today, because I am a certified mediator, I have to deal with a lot of family issues, a lot of family conflicts and disputes, and it could range from all sorts of different things, from estates and what happened in the estate and trust at the death of the parent. It has to do with teenagers not communicating with parents. It has to do with grandparents wanting to have a relationship with their grandchildren, but the children have blocked them from having to do that. It could be even disputing of who's going to keep the dog when they separate. I mean, it's a whole bunch of different things. I mostly do business, but every once in a while I take on a family mediation situation, especially when it has to do with parenting. But so today, since I deal with so much of that, and we have seen this massacre in Texas, and yesterday I did a podcast and I asked the question, is part of this our fault as parents? Are we doing enough to engage our children? Instead of playing all of the video games and everything else that they play, and they're so focused on killing somebody on that video game, are we engaging our children through a communication process? The biggest issue that I see in doing family mediation is the communication process. I see it when people separate and they go through a divorce, and the communication process they don't focus enough on because they want to get back at that other person. They're still mad at that other person. So the communication process, when they should be focused on one subject, they go off into tangents, and then pretty soon it becomes a bigger conflict, and the dispute gets bigger. Well, the same thing happens in our families, I'm afraid. We don't communicate. We don't engage. We let them go off. We let the children go off into other directions, and we're really not monitoring them the best that we can do. We are not including them into the family process. Many of us have forgotten what that process is even about. And maybe we grew up in a family where the family process just wasn't there either. So we still don't know how to parent. When I was going to college, we had to go through what was called a marriage and family life course. We didn't get any credit for it, but we had to take it. And in there, we talked specifically about parents dealing with their children. Once they get married, once they say I do, and they have the children, then what is the process after that? And it's a big process. And I truly believe that a lot of us don't know what that process is because maybe we did not live that process in our own childhood in the relationship with our parents. Perhaps we don't know how to communicate. We didn't know how to communicate with our parents, so now we don't know how to communicate with our children. Communication is so vital with every family group. I see so much where children get so angry. And they get angry. Something might be happening at school, but they don't know how to communicate it with you, but they're angry because something is happening that affects them. It might be a bully, it might be a teacher, it might be something. But they don't know how to communicate it with you. And the reason why is I know for a fact that you know that something is up because their attitude changes. But you don't ask the questions on, hey, what's going on? In listening. See, communication process has this other side of it. Just not spouting stuff out, but it's about listening. So when people get upset, they go off and they don't know how to communicate, so they go off and they find another alternative. And it could be video games, because video games, if you're angry, you can kill someone that day on that video game. It's the new babysitter of this century. Parents, we need to ask questions. And there's nothing wrong with you taking... You might have your children in their mid-ages as kids, and you still don't know how to communicate with them. You know how to negotiate with them, because every single morning that you wake your child up to go to school, you begin a negotiating process. Mom, I don't want to wear that sweater. Yes, you're going to wear that sweater, and here's the reason why. But Mom, that's not what other people are wearing. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So you begin that communication process. What do you want for breakfast? Well, I want oatmeal. No, you're going to have pebbles. I mean, that's probably the worst example ever. But you understand my point is that in the beginning of the morning is when you begin negotiating. And in that negotiating process, you need to also develop the communication and the listening process and thinking before you answer. And listen, when you answer, it doesn't need to be 100 words. It doesn't need to be 200 words. 20 words or less. That's all you need. Think about it. Put it in 20 words or less, so that they understand it and that you have focused on the issue. Don't go off into tangents. Don't go off into other worlds. Stay focused. If the subject is oatmeal, you stay focused on oatmeal. Nothing else. If the subject is the sweater that they're wearing at school today, that's all that you focus on. Nothing else. Not how they were a bad kid yesterday and they wore an ugly skirt. No, you don't do that. You stay focused on the subject matter. Otherwise, you're just going to end up in frustration. And that frustration then creates an angry child. But if you are focused on the communication, you're not going to have an angry child, because he now knows or she knows the point that you just made. And that you should strive to be with that. That's what it should be. We have an issue within our communication process, and we need to be listening and asking the questions. Listen and ask the questions. And you will find out that there's a whole bunch more out there in that child's world that he is not or she is not talking to you about. It is a whole process, this growing up, this being a parent, this being a communicator, being a listener. There's a whole process. But sometimes we forget the process because we want to get things done quickly and move on. A child's life does not move along quickly. That child sits there and he remembers every single thing that he's angry about. If you don't clear up what he's angry about, she's angry about, it's going to grow and it's going to grow. Some children display their response verbally. Some display it in taking it out on others. And some become very violent. You see, your children have gone through a period of time where they have been locked down. They have not had the education process that they should have had. They have had people talk very badly to them and put them down. They have been in this educational system where they have been taught to look at everything negatively. So the whole process is negative. And the only positive that can come is not from a teacher, not from a principal, not from anybody else, but from you. You are the positive force in this child's life. And you've got to know that you've got to listen. And you've got to communicate through thinking. Don't just spout out anything. Sit down and talk with that child. Or make some time and say, listen, I see that you're frustrated. Let's go and have some dinner tonight. Let's go and have some pizza. Let's sit down and talk. Let's go out for a milkshake. I would go with you if you're going for a milkshake because I love milkshakes, okay? So remember me when you're having that process to invite me along if you're going to have milkshakes, okay? It's just the rule of this program. That and filet mignon. If you're going to go out for filet mignon, you definitely have to invite me. That's just the rule, okay? Know the rules of this show. Listen, as a mediator, I hear all kinds of conflict and all kinds of dispute. And it really boils down to the communication process that was developed to get you into that dispute or conflict. This whole world is a much better place. Forget about television and forget about the politicians and everybody calling each other names. That's just a waste of time. If you can cut them out of your life, if you can cut that television, that news out of your life, and if you can cut those politicians out of your life, excuse me, you will be okay. You will be able to move forward. And you will be able to focus on the voice of that child that's inside your house and resolve some issues. There's also the other option of bringing in a mediator such as myself and sitting down with all of you and talking about the issues so that there's a third party there that's neutral and not taking sides. Makes it a lot easier. But learn to communicate. If you need help focusing on communication, talk to me about it. I'll be more than happy to give you some pointers. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Listen, listen, listen. So today is Sunday. I hope that each and every single one of you feel blessed. I hope that you are waking up this morning and you're looking out at the world and you say, you know what, I can face it again. I can do a lot of great things. Remember, you don't have to do big great things. You can do small great things. And those small great things add up to a whole bunch of great things. Focus on the small great things that you can do. The person's life that you can touch. That child's life that needs you as a parent. That needs your engagement with them. These are small things that you can make into big things. And that child will always remember you. Sunday, I love Sundays. I wish you could look out the window with me at my backyard, Serenity Park. That's what I call it, Serenity Park. It's very peaceful, and there's a whole bunch of nature out there, especially those little squirrels that are in front of me right now in my garden. So I'm going to end this right now because I got to go chase squirrels. God bless each and every single one of you. I hope that this day is your day, and you're going to communicate it. Talk with you soon. This is Mike Lodge, the business administrator, the business advisor, the family advisor. Whatever you want to call me, just call me. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.